talk on acute blood vessels react. What happens to the blood flow? What happens to the organ? What chemical reactions will bring about the changes in the vasculature of the inflamed organ? So what is inflammation? Inflammation is nothing but the response of a living mammalian cell to any injury. Okay? It is response to injury. Response to injury by a living mammalian cell. Living mammalian cell. Acute inflammation. So important components. Most important is alteration in vascular caliber. Caliber means the diameter. Increase in blood flow leads to heat and redness. Calor and rubor. Calor and rubor. These are the signs of inflammation. Signs of inflammation. Hope you have understood it in the last class, in the previous class. Structural changes in the microvasculature. What happens when the blood vessels dilate? There is increased flow of plasma proteins, increased flow of leukocytes, increased exudation of inflammatory debris, inflammatory exudate. More protein is lost from the blood vessel into the exterior. More proteins are lost. And the next step which occurs is very important, which is called as the cellular events. Immigration of leukocytes. Cellular events. So today our discussion will be on the vascular events, that is alteration in the vascular caliber and structural changes in the microvasculature. These two steps we will try to understand. Okay. So before that, I just want to brief you. The vasodilatation, increased blood flow leads to reddening, erythema and warmth, which also increases the hydrostatic pressure. The hydrostatic pressure in the blood vessel is nothing but what we measure as the blood pressure, normal BP. Okay. Increased vascular permeability. Yes. Yes. Increased vascular permeability, extravasation and deposition of plasma fluid occur, leading to escape of proteins. And this escape of proteins leads to decrease in the plasma oncotic or osmotic pressure. The plasma osmotic pressure is dependent on the plasma proteins. So if the plasma proteins go out of the blood vessel, the pressure within the blood vessel will fall. Oncotic pressure, osmotic pressure will fall. And this fall in pressure is also facilitated by escape of leukocytes, leukocyte emigration, leukocyte accumulation at the site of injury. This is in gist the vascular and cellular events which occur in acute inflammation. So today we will only deal with the vascular events. This class is in purview of only the vascular events. So here, mechanism of inflammation. This is the inflamed part, the blood vessel dilates. Red things are the RBCs. RBCs will escape. The yellow dots are the plasma proteins. Plasma proteins will escape. Fluid, hydro, fluid also, plasma fluid also will escape along with that water. And along with that, neutrophils. Neutrophils are the first line of defense. First line of defense in acute inflammation, neutrophils are recruited. Neutrophils are the first line soldiers in the body, and they will escape to the site of injury, and this is nothing but called as exudation. Exudation.
What is going inside the vessels?
Yes, yes. How this exudation occurs? It is by the active endothelial contraction. The endothelial cells will contract. Thereby the space between the endothelial cells increases. This increase in the space will lead to leakage of plasma, leakage of RBC, leakage of protein-rich fluid, which is called as exudate. Exudate. Inflammatory exudate is rich in protein. Yes. Fibrinogen, another major protein in the plasma. Plasma proteins will escape into the injured site. Injured site. Okay. So this is the mechanism of inflammation. So the first is vascular changes. So it depends on an intact endothelium. The endothelium should be intact. If the endothelium is injured, we cannot elicit the normal changes. Okay. Two opposing forces. One is the hydrostatic pressure and another one is the plasma colloid osmotic pressure. Hydrostatic pressure causes fluid to move out of the blood vessel. Plasma colloid osmotic pressure causes fluid to move into the circulation. So this is very important. Hydrostatic
pressure is going out. Is it?
Yes, yes. Yes.
Why?
Hydrostatic pressure tries to push the fluid outside. It is the lateral pressure over the walls of the blood vessel. Osmotic pressure will try to pull in the fluid, pull the fluid inside the blood vessel. So in the normal, these both are equal. In the normal intact endothelium, hydrostatic pressure equals osmotic pressure. So there is no escape of fluid, nor there is imbibing of fluid into the blood vessel. So both these forces are equal. If there is variation in any of these forces, if the plasma oncotic pressure falls, fluid will move out. If the hydrostatic pressure falls, fluid will move inside. Okay? This will occur opposite the normal. So here, the normal hydrostatic pressure is 32 millimeter at the arterial end. Whereas at the venous end, the mean osmotic pressure is 28. A difference of 6 millimeter is maintained. This will result in equal amounts of precapillary arterial fluid to post-capillary venule. Net inflow is equaling the net outflow. Net inflow at the venous end equals the net outflow. This is normal at the arterial end. So the normal fluid is maintained within the tissues, within the blood vessels. The normal forces act. So there is no net outflow in normal health. But whereas in inflammation, acute inflammation, the net outflow increases. I have shown it with a big arrow. And the net outflow will also increase at the capillary bed. And net outflow also increases at the venous end. So increase in hydrostatic pressure. The hydrostatic pressure increases because there is vasodilatation. Initial vasodilatation, increased blood flow increases the hydrostatic pressure during inflammation. So there is net outflow increased, and the plasma proteins, all will escape, and this decreases the colloid osmotic pressure. The colloid osmotic pressure within the blood vessel decreases. Thereby, net outflow of the fluid from inside will increase. Okay? So, the net result is excess of fluid in the extravascular space. Excess of body fluid, plasma, RBC, plasma proteins, everything exude into the external vascular space where the injury has occurred. This is resulting in acute inflammation. So blood flow stasis due to viscosity, due to
the hydrostatic pressure cause plasma colloid osmotic. If hydrostatic happens, the second must happen.
Yes, you are absolutely right. Due to increased viscosity. How does this occur? Because of stasis. You see, you imagine a water pipe which is 2 inches in diameter. Suddenly, the diameter of the water pipe increases to 6 inches. The pressure within falls. The pressure within the water pipe falls because there is increase in the volume. So this will cause stasis. Vasodilatation occurs. When the vasodilatation occurs, the hydrostatic pressure increases. And due to increased viscosity, the blood thickens. The blood becomes heavy due to increased rush of RBCs to the site and allows the neutrophils to marginate. This causes the neutrophils to go to the side of the blood vessel. And the next step which occurs is loss of intravascular fluid. Disruption in the normal laminar flow. The normal laminar flow means the RBCs are to the center, but the RBCs are to the periphery, the neutrophils are to the center. Okay? But when the blood vessel dilates, the neutrophils will go to the periphery and RBCs will come to the center. This is disruption of normal laminar flow. This enhances aggregation of RBC. The RBC will become sticky, aggregate, like a stack of coins. And this is known as rouleau formation. Rouleau in French means stack of coins. The RBCs will get sticky. They will stick to each other and form groups which are aligned like a stack of coin. And this is called as rouleau formation. This is due to the loss of intravascular fluid. loss of intravascular fluid. So initially there is transient vasoconstriction followed by massive vasodilatation. This vasodilatation is mediated by certain chemicals. These chemicals are nothing but histamine, bradykinin, and prostaglandins. These are secreted by the endothelial cells. These are secreted by the endothelial cells. Histamine, bradykinin, and prostaglandins. Yes. So this will act upon the endothelial cell. Endothelial cell initially contracts, but later leads to massive vasodilatation. Massive vasodilatation. The chemical mediators, increased vascular permeability is brought about by these chemical mediators. The chemical mediators are vasoactive amines. One of them is histamine, another is serotonin. Serotonin. These both are secreted by the endothelial cells. Bradykinin is an end product of the kinin cascade. Another is the bradykinin. This kinin cascade is nothing but the coagulation process in the body, blood coagulative process. This process, the end product is bradykinin. It is otherwise called as tissue factor. The tissue fluid, due to injury, will release this enzyme called as bradykinin. And another hormone or another local enzyme is called as leukotrienes. Leukotrienes like leukotriene C4, leukotriene D4, leukotriene E4. These also will bring about increased vascular permeability. So the increased vascular permeability in the blood vessels occurs due to majorly histamine, a vasoactive amine, serotonin, a vasoactive amine secreted by the endothelial cell, bradykinin, an end product of the kinin system, and leukotrienes secreted by even the neutrophils, even the macrophages which are present. The inflammatory cells will secrete the leukotrienes, and this will lead to increased vascular permeability. The mechanism of increased vascular permeability is by formation of intercellular endothelial gaps.
Excuse me, your voice is lost.
Is immediate. It occurs rapidly after the injury and reversible. It is reversible and transient. It occurs in 15 to 30 minutes. The mediators are histamine. The endothelial cell contraction leads to opening of the intercellular gaps and involves only small blood vessels, the venules. And later the cytokines, interleukin-1 and tumor necrosis factor, they are the delayed responses. Delayed after 4 to 6 hours after injury, they will come into play, leads to protracted response more than 24 hours. After 4 to 6 hours, the cytokines released from the neutrophils, lymphocytes, macrophages will be acting. And this response will last for more than 24 hours in case of injury to the body. The gaps in the endothelial contraction occur in the venules and are brought about by the vasoactive mediators that is histamine and leukotrienes. Most commonest is fast and short-lived within minutes. This occurs within minutes, 15 to 30 minutes, this will occur in the body. Whenever there is injury, the endothelial cell undergoes contraction. This contraction of the endothelial cell will cause gaps in between the endothelium, and the blood vessel oozes out plasma into the site of injury, at the site of injury. So direct endothelial cell injury, as it occurs in burns, severe necrotizing burns, endothelial cell necrosis leads to detachment, affects venules, capillaries and arterioles, and immediately leads to a sustained response. Direct injury will involve arterioles, capillary, venules, toxins, burns, chemicals, and may be long-lived for hours together. It can live for 14 to 24 hours after injury. This can sustainedly lead to oozing of fluid, permanent contraction of the endothelium at the arterioles, capillaries, and venules. Sustained. Okay? Delayed prolonged leakage occurs in thermal injury, burns, radiation, ultraviolet injury, ultraviolet irradiation. The mechanism is direct endothelial injury and secondary to cytokines. The cytokines are, as I told you, interleukin-1 and tumor necrosis factor, TNF. And this begins 2 to 12 hours later and lasts for days, may last for many days. Massive burns, deep burns will venules. So release leukocyte-mediated endothelial injury is caused by release of reactive oxygen species. I hope you remember reactive oxygen species which we had dealt with in our last class in cell injury. And proteolytic enzymes. Proteolytic enzymes. Leukocyte-dependent injury occurs in mostly venules, pulmonary capillaries, means in the lungs. Late responses and long-lived for hours, long-lived for many hours, 12 hours, 24 hours. Okay. Increased transcytosis. This occurs in across, trans means across the endothelial channels due to a factor known as vascular endothelial growth factor, VEGF. This vascular endothelial growth factor leads to leakage of plasma and fluid through the gaps in the endothelium, between the endothelial cell. Increased transcytosis means transport of cells across the endothelium, This occurs mostly in cancers. Cancer affecting the body. Cancer is also an prolonged inflammation. It will go on inflaming the body, causing injury to the cells. And this is mediated by vascular endothelial growth factor, VEGF, secreted by the tumor cells, cancer cells, VEGF. This occurs in venules, vascular endothelium derived growth factor, vascular endothelial growth factor. Leakage from new blood vessels, angiogenesis, leaky blood vessels. new blood vessel formation, site of angiogenesis, persistent until intercellular junctions are formed. These new vascular blood vessels are formed in growing tissue. After injury, there is repair. During repair, there is growth of new blood vessels, and these new blood vessels, until they grow fully, will cause transcytosis, until the new blood vessel is formed. So fluid loss from vessels with increased permeability is intermediate, can be delayed, or can be a prolonged response. Immediate, transient response lasts for less than 30 minutes and is mediated by histamine and leukotrienes. Delayed response lasts for 2 to 8 hours, mediated by kinins and complements. Prolonged response after direct endothelial injury, example, burns. Burns. So next we go into cellular events, that is in our next class. Okay. So I repeat, the vascular events is increased hydrostatic pressure, decreased colloid osmotic pressure. Increased hydrostatic pressure is due to increased blood flow. Increased blood flow is due to increase in the diameter of the blood vessel, that is called as vasodilatation. This vasodilatation is brought about by mediators called as histamine, bradykinin, and prostaglandins. These are nothing but the chemical mediators. These chemical mediators are vasoactive amines, namely histamine, serotonin, bradykinin, an end product of kinin cascade, that is the blood clotting system, leukotrienes, that is LTC4, LTD4, LTE4, liberated by the neutrophils and also the endothelial cells. Formation of venules, intercellular endothelial gaps. These gaps bring about transient, immediate transient response. This response is mediated by histamine and cytokines. Histamine lasts for 15 to 30 minutes. The histamine is secreted by the endothelial cell. Cytokines are delayed response, 4 to 6 hours. It occurs in massive burns, injuries, prolonged inflammation by bacteria in the lungs, pneumonia, inflammation of the lungs. It can last for 4 to 6 hours, even prolongs to more than 24 hours. Deep burns, it can prolong for more than 24 hours. Endothelial contraction occurs in venules. This leads to transcytosis. Transcytosis is a process wherein extravasation of plasma and fluid from the intravascular space occurs to the site of injury. And this transcytosis can be brought about by direct endothelial cell injury, as in burns, or otherwise severe necrotizing injury, as it occurs in snake bite, deep burns, endothelial cell necrosis, detachment. Immediate sustained response can be brought about in the arterioles, capillaries, venules, wherever the injury occurs. And delayed prolonged response occurs in radiation, UV injury, thermal injury. Either it can be due to cold or due to heat. brought about by direct endothelial injury by secondary cytokines begins 2 to 12 hours later and may last for many days. Leukocyte-mediated endothelial injury brought about by reactive oxygen species, ROS, superoxide dismutase, hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, and mostly it occurs in the venules, pulmonary venules, lungs, capillaries. Increased transcytosis as it occurs in cancers occurs due to VEGF, vascular endothelial derived growth factor. Okay. And leakage into new vessels, new blood vessels in angiogenesis, new formations, sites of angiogenesis where the new blood vessels are formed. Immediate transient response, fluid loss occurs due to histamine and leukotrienes, kinins and complement delayed response, and prolonged response occurs due to direct endothelial injury. These are the three forms of or the grades of injury: mild, moderate, severe. Mild, immediate transient response. Delayed, 2 to 8 hours, kinins, complements. Prolonged, direct endothelial injury occurs in deep burns, extensive burns. So next we go into cellular events, that is in our next class. Okay. Today is the only class on vascular events, and I have uploaded this lecture. I have uploaded all of inflammation in a single lecture, and I have divided into sections. You can refer that. Okay. In your
Yes, this is helpful, Doctor. Very thank you.
Yes, thank you. 1 minute, don't go. I will take your screenshot, because screenshot documentation is important.
From chat?
Yes, screenshot of the attendance. Screenshot, of your attendance is a proof.
Yeah, but I mean from the student participant or from the chat?
From the participants. I'm taking 1 minute. Don't go, don't. Okay. Thank you. I have taken the screenshot of the participants. So I will give you the attendance. Don't worry. Okay. Muhammad